I read it in a book once, she went on, that the fire of hell is black and gives no light, and damned souls burn forever in darkness, heaped one on top of another so tight they can't move even to brush away the worms that eat their eyes. And there's nothing but terrible noise and pain and stench and darkness forever and ever and ever. Case Against Satan was published in 1962, and it was written by Ray Russell, an American author who is best known for his short story Sardonicus. Now, Ray Russell wasn't only a novelist, he was also a screenwriter, and in March 15th, 1999, he passed away in Los Angeles, California. Now, the plot of this book, without spoiling anything and simplifying it, is basically about a 16-year-old girl who gets possessed, and a priest and bishop perform an exorcism on this girl. But as the story unfolds, they not only have trouble with the exorcism, but also the community that surrounds the church, including the father of this young girl. Now, this plot may sound familiar to those who have seen the 1973 horror film, The Exorcist, and that is because The Exorcist is about a young girl who gets possessed. Now, for those who don't know, The Exorcist, the film, was screenwritten by William Peter Blatty, who was actually also the author of The Exorcist, the book, the novel that came in 1971. So in chronological order, you got the Ray Russell, The Case Against Satan, which was published in 1962. And then 9 years after that came William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist, the novel, in 1971. And then came the film in 1973. So if you enjoyed that movie, The Exorcist, or if you like horror books that deal with, demons, possessions, and exorcisms, this is definitely a book I suggest to you guys. Now, the reason why I chose this book out of all the other horror stories at Barnes & Noble's was because when I read basically the plot about it in the back, it dealt with an exorcism. And the first thing that came to my mind was the movie, The Exorcist, And I watched that a long time ago, and I was terrified of The Exorcist. It was one of my worst nightmares. I hated The Exorcism. Not only was she on the film, but she was in those pop-up games. When I was young, they had the maze, the Exorcist maze, where you had to, control this little ball through this maze. And if you hit any of the walls in the maze, the Exorcist would pop up on you, and obviously it would scare you. It was a pop-up. And, that's what came to my mind when I heard what this book was about. Now, I am curious, for those who have read The Case Against Satan and also The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty, leave it in the comments. Let me know which one you thought was better, The Case Against Satan or The Exorcist. Which one was scarier? Which one did you like the most? So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the things that I liked and didn't like about the book. So this is a spoiler alert. You have been warned. At first, I want to start off by saying that this book here, The Case Against Satan, is one of the, if not the, or my favorite book that I've ever read. Ray Russell was a phenomenal writer, and as I was reading this story, it almost felt like I was watching a movie, a film through words. I could also see by reading this book that this book was well thought out, and I feel like it was well put together. I especially love how there's parts in the book where, Father Gregory and Bishop Crimmins, they discuss and even argue about their faith. They argue about the religion and the Catholic faith. And you kind of see them go back and forth, and they both try together to solve, or not solve, but fix the problem, to cast Satan out of this girl. I love how you see the situation through the eyes of the priest, someone who's a devout Catholic. You see it through his eyes. And I know that this book here is a fiction book. I know that it's fiction, but I can't imagine that it would be anything different in real life. I feel that these characters are very authentic, very genuine to someone who is a priest. It's very similar. And I love the fact that it's not just about the exorcism. That's the core problem of the story. But there is this problem, this dynamic outside of the exorcism. You got the community who's heard rumors about Father Gregory and concerned about what he's doing, and here obviously Suzanne, the possessed girl, screaming, and they think that they're having parties and they're doing things they're not supposed to in the rectory. So there is this other element that's outside of this exorcism. The rumors. You got John Talbot, I think his name was John, who's spreading these rumors, and he's basically like the conspiracy theorist who is basically spreading the rumors that the Catholic faith is a bunch of hypocrites. They're evil, they're sexual abusers and stuff like that. And he's spreading this all along the community, and he's feeding that fire. And so that's something that I very much liked about the story, that it wasn't just about the exorcism. And also the ending. I loved the ending. So you got two sides of it. He could have either died from the lightning bolt, or he could have died from not taking his pills. And so there's that mystery to the ending. Someone like Miss Farley believes that it was God himself who struck him down, because Satan was within him. He was evil, and so God struck him down. And then you have the other side where it's maybe it was just the pills that he didn't take, and he had this heart failure. And so there's that mystery, there's that uncertainty to the ending, and he really leaves. I'm saying Ray Russell leaves it to us to kind of think about the ending. What killed Robert Garth. Now, something I didn't like about the story, I wasn't understanding some parts because it talked about other books that I've never heard about. For example, there's a part in the story where Gregory has a dream about these three witches, and he's like fighting, sword fighting with this other person. I have no idea what was going on. All I know is that it was a dream. But other than that, that's pretty much it with the things that I didn't like about the story. So now I'm going to go ahead and rate this book using our grading system we pick. Once again, W being the writing style, E being the ending, P being the plot, I being how intriguing the book was, and then finally C, characters. So right off the bat, I want to give writing style a 10 out of 10. I love the way that Ray Russell wrote this book. Once again, I feel like this book, as I was reading it, it felt like I was watching a movie through words. I mean, that's how good his writing is. So that's why I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. The ending, once again, 10 out of 10. I feel like in the end, justice was served. The little girl Susan was saved from this possession. You got Robert Garth, who did die, who got struck down, who died, who paid for what he did. And like I said, again, there's that uncertainty. There's that mystery as to what killed Robert Garth. Was it the lightning bolt, or was it the pills? There's that mystery. So 10 out of 10 for ending. Plot, once again, I love how the plot isn't just about the exorcism. There's this outside dynamic to it. There's the community. You got Mrs. Barlow, who is kind of trying to investigate it. You got John, who's spreading these evil rumors about the Catholic Church. And, everyone's concerned about what's going on in the rectory. So that's why I'm going to give plot a 10 out of 10. For intriguing, I'm not going to say that every chapter had suspense, but there was a lot of suspense to the story. One chapter that really, really got me, there was a lot of suspense in was when Father Gregory was asking Suzanne, or I should say Satan, who raped her, who raped you? And she didn't want to say at first. And then she says, the person that you're trying to find out about, or the person that you want to know, is knocking on the door right now. And that was like the most suspenseful part of the book. I love that part. Obviously I just wanted to get to the next chapter and continue reading. And there's a lot of that, although not in every chapter, but there was a lot of suspense to it. So for intriguing, once again, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. For characters, I love how they feel so real. Not just the father and the bishop. Everyone in the story feels very real, authentic. I love that Father Gregory is you can see him struggling to try to comprehend what's going on. You have that he's not necessarily losing his faith, but he's trying to reason. He's trying to find the logic behind this. He's trying to understand what this is. And slowly he starts to believe that there is actually a devil. And you have Bishop, or not Bishop, but the Bishop, who has that unflinching faith. Someone who's that devoted would definitely have the faith that the bishop would have. And it feels real to me. Not just that, but John feels real. The Father feels real. Miss Barlow, I can definitely see someone who's like that. And so for character, once again, a 10 out of 10. And that, summing everything all up, the case against Satan, I will say that it is our first 10 out of 10 book. I absolutely love this book. I would read it again. Definitely would read it again. And once again, if you like exorcisms, or if you like either movies or books that deal with exorcisms, with demons, with faith, and this whole idea of God and good and evil, this is definitely a book I suggest to you guys. The Case Against Satan by Ray Russell. Of course, I want to say a big thanks to Ray Russell himself. I know he passed away, but still, thank you for writing such a marvelous book. I was completely baffled by it. I loved it so much. And I also want to give a big thanks to you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.